Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we are going hunting for fairy types in the Master Premier Cup using a pretty spicy pick, level 50 Poison Jab ROSERADE. As you guys may know, in this current cycle of the Master Premier Cup, fairy types like FLORGES, Primarina, and Togekiss are absolutely everywhere, so I figured I may as well use the ROSERADE. ROSERADE is extremely glassy, it's definitely more of a pick for fun than for climbing, but I was able to have some fun games with it. So without further ado, let's up into the matches, and let's go hunting for fairy types with ROSERADE. Hopping into the first match, and our target has been acquired, ROSERADE into FLORGES. Opponent save switches into a Shadow Snorlax, and since I don't have a hard check to a Snorlax save switch, I'm going to fire off the Weather Ball to get some chip damage before I send in Gyarados. Gyarados, if it's best buddied, does typically provide some advantages going up against the best buddy Snorlax, but unfortunately, I am nowhere close to having this best buddied. I'm going to farm up and go for the Crunch on the CMP tie. Crunch will connect. We do not see the debuff, but I should be in a pretty nice spot here. I'm going to be able to tank this, and now I can commit to the farm down. I'm actually going to pause here for a little bit just to take a few extra licks, so that way I can deny the FLORGES some farm. Back in comes the FLORGES. I'm firing off the Aqua Tail here. Just looking to get as much chip as I can. My opponent is going to get the farm down, but now I can bring back in FLORGES. They can fire off the Moonblast, but it is going to be resisted. Moonblast lands onto the ROSERADE. They're staying in this matchup, so it looks like they potentially may be weak to ROSERADE somewhere in the back as well. Disarming Voice will be shielded. I continue to farm with the ROSERADE, and I'm at the back-to-back Weather Balls here. Weather Ball number 1 will be no shielded in the back. They have Excadrill. I can fire off the Weather Ball, and then it is Waterfall Primarina time. In comes Primarina. These waterfalls absolutely shredding through the Excadrill. Exca fires off the Drill Run. I'm able to tank that, no problem. Farming up, looking for the farm down here. Opponent cannot double up on charge moves, and that's a good game. We see another great lead in the next match, ROSERADE into Primarina. Opponent save switches into Shadow Snorlax, and my guess is that this is basically going to be the same team as last game. I've seen this team so many times, so I figured I may as well try and run a bit of a spicier team with ROSERADE that can defeat the team. Odds are it's Fairy type, Snorlax, and then an Excadrill in the back. So, I do the same thing as last game, chip with a Weather Ball, send in the Gyarados, I can fire off the Crunch. This time I do get the debuff, and I tank this Body Slam. Body Slam is going to connect onto the Gyarados. I am going to let a couple extra licks through, and then I am going to get rid of them. Back in comes the Primarina, looking for the farm down. I will make the last second Aqua Tail here. Aqua Tail, of course, doesn't do a ton of damage, but at this point, all I'm looking for is chip. Back in comes the Poison Jab ROSERADE, and look at the Poison Jabs adding up. This is the Disarming Voice. That's going to connect onto the ROSERADE. They're staying in here. ROSERADE looking for the Poison Jab farm down and gets it. And in the back, it's our good friend Excadrill. Let's go. Weather Ball gets the shield. And you already know I'm going for the Leaf Storm. Do they respect the damage? They do not. Excadrill gets destroyed. And that's game over. We've got an interesting lead in the next match, ROSERADE into Shadow Magnezone. Weather Ball, of course, will hit for super effective damage onto the Magnezone, but unfortunately, I have absolutely no fast move pressure here, as Poison Jab is going to do nothing into a Steel type. They go for the Mirror Shot. That is so much damage. ROSERADE is just absurdly glassy. I'm firing off the Weather Ball. Weather Ball is going to be shielded by my opponent. I'm able to make it to another Weather Ball here. Is my opponent willing to give up their final shield? They are not. That does quite a lot of damage. And now I have a decision to make. I elect to let this go. They go for the Wild Charge. Goodbye, ROSERADE. And now we have the battle of Primarinas. I'm a bit sad that I didn't shield my ROSERADE, as ROSERADE would be terrific going up against the Primarina. They go for the Disarming Voice. I'm up a shield, so I may as well go for the Moonblast here. Moonblast is going to hurt if it lands, which it does, getting the opponent's Primarina low, and I get the Waterfall farm down. In the back, they have Haxorus, and I can send in Gyarados, and this game should be won. I have the shield advantage, and the nice thing is, I am able to take 2 Breaking Swipes here. So all I have to do is basically just commit to the farm down, and leave with at least 2 Aqua Tails loaded to get rid of the Shadow Magnezone. I'm looking for the farm down here. They will make the last second Breaking Swipe. I will elect to double shield because the Magnezone did not leave with energy. Back in comes the Magnezone. I needed to preserve health so I could survive the Shadow Sparks. Aqua Tail is going to get them low, and I'm very close to 2 more. Going for Aqua Tail number 2. That gets the shield. We snipe with the Primarina. In comes the Haxorus, but they do not get the farm down. Disarming Voice on the Primarina KOs the Haxorus, and that's a good game. We see a Nightmare lead in the next match, Roserade into Haxorus. Immediate save switch into the Waterfall Primarina. Haxorus is going to stay in here and go for the Breaking Swipe before they switch out. Breaking Swipe will of course lower my attack by 1 stage, and now in comes Florges. Honestly, I needed to bait out the Florges as Dragon Breath Gyarados gets absolutely destroyed. So honestly, not a bad spot to be in. I go for the Moonblast, opponent is going to let that through, and they're going to be returning fire. They go for the Moonblast here, that's not quite going to KO, and here my opponent stops attacking, so they actually take more damage to limit Roserade's farm. That is a really nice play by my opponent. They are going to fire off Disarming Voice with the Florges. Roserade gets the farm down and leaves with the Weather Ball loaded. When my opponent sends back in the Haxorus, I am going to be looking to send in the Gyarados. In comes Gyarados, Dragon Breath tearing through the Haxorus. Haxorus now below half health. I tank a Breaking Swipe, so I am going to no shield. In the back, it's Metagross. Oh my goodness. Baiting out the Florges ended up being massive, as now my opponent is ABA weak to the Gyarados. We get the defense drop as well. Our attack has been lowered, but suddenly things might be looking up for us. I fire off the Crunch. My opponent is going to shield. They have so much energy on this Metagross, and I elect to shield the Gyarados here. Meteor Mash will be shielded. My clock is up. They're firing off another charge move. I have a tough decision to make. I am going to be double shielding here. I make it to the Crunch, and Crunch will be hitting for super effective damage onto the Metagross. It connects, aggressive switch into the Roserade. Opponent sends in Haxorus. I don't know if the Weather Ball KOs, so I'm going for the Leaf Storm. Leaf Storm will definitely KO the Haxorus. In comes the Metagross. Roserade able to outpace, and against all odds, KO a Dragon type and a Steel type, and that's game over. We've got an awkward lead in the next match, Roserade into Metagross. Of course, Roserade does have the super effective Weather Balls here, but unfortunately, Weather Ball is not going to be able to one-shot, whereas a Meteor Mash will absolutely destroy the Glassy Roserade. They're going to no-shield the first, and Metagross is going to win the CMP tie over Roserade. I will commit the shield. They go for the Meteor Mash, and now I'm returning fire with another Weather Ball. Weather Ball will be shielded by the Metagross. Roserade, farming up here, will get outpaced by the Metagross, and I decide, you know what? I'm going to let this through. Meteor Mash is going to KO. I'm going to bring in Gyarados and look for a massive farm here. Metagross banks a move. They send in their own Snorlax, and unfortunately, Metagross with a banked move, I believe I don't really have a win con at this point. I'm going to be firing off as many charge moves as I can, but at this point, I don't really see a win con for how to play out of this match. Snorlax is just incredibly good into this team, and Metagross with a move is going to be able to get rid of the Primarina, so I am going to resign the match. We see our target in the next match, Roserade into Florges. Florges going to stay in this matchup for a little bit, and now they're going to send in Machamp. I farm up to the Leaf Storm. I'm baiting with the Weather Ball here. Weather Ball bait does get the shield, and now in comes Primarina. Primarina will be able to tank a Rock Slide here, so I am going to let this through. Opponent running Stone Edge on the Machamp. Oh my goodness. Opponent running the Legacy Nuke move, and that will get Primarina extremely low. Luckily, Primarina able to hang on, get the farm down, and leave with a Moonblast loaded to fire at whatever my opponent decides to send in. My opponent is going to send in the Florges. I throw one Waterfall and then go for the Moonblast. Moonblast is going to hit for quite a lot of damage as Florges gets the farm down. Back in comes the Roserade. In the back, it is Haxorus, and Haxorus is going to have a terrible day going up against the Gyarados. Haxorus, if it can't get rid of the Gyarados, the opponent does not have a win con, as Roserade will absolutely eviscerate that Florges. Crunch will be shielded by the Haxorus. Haxorus firing off another Breaking Swipe, but again, I don't have to shield this. I can let this through and just try and commit to the farm down here. Looking for the farm down, I'm getting a bit low, so I decide against it, and I go for the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail gets the KO, in comes the Florges, and the opponent concedes the match. We see a great lead in the next match, Roserade into Togekiss. Opponent is going to save switch into Shadow Snorlax, and I'm going to stay in with the Roserade, get some chip damage with the Weather Ball, and then send in the Gyarados. Gyarados will be able to absorb multiple body slams here, but my opponent is farming up a massive amount of energy. I'm worried about a potential nuke move, so I commit the shield, and it's a Skull Bash. Oh my goodness. I had gotten Skull Bashed earlier in the weekend, so I was watching out for it, and thankfully, we get the shield. Aqua Tail connects, I get the farm down, in comes the Togekiss. I have so much energy on my Gyarados here that I believe I can force a shield. Aqua Tail will connect. I'm farming up here, looking to get the 2 more Aqua Tails as they try and commit to the farm down here. Alright, Aqua Tail will connect onto the Togekiss. Gyarados able to make it to 1 final Aqua Tail. This should just about KO my opponent. They are going to commit the shield. They're trying to leave with energy here. Flamethrower definitely going to hurt, but I'm expecting they probably have a pretty decent response, so I'm actually going to let the Roserade go. Send in the Primarina in the back. It is Haxorus. So it turns out that I did need the shield for the Primarina here. They're going for the Night Slash with the Haxorus. I'm farming up as much as I possibly can, and I'm going for the Disarming Voice. Disarming Voice would KO from here. Haxorus commits the shield. The question will be, do they Breaking Swipe or do they Night Slash? I let it go. They go for a Night Slash. That is not good. I'm running out of HP. Honestly, I might lose this now. How healthy was that Togekiss? Disarming Voice connects. In comes the Togekiss. It's a simultaneous KO, and it ends in a tie. Roserade sees the Dream lead in the next match, leading into a Florges. Florges farms up some energy. We see a save switch into Golisopod. Golisopod firing off the X-Scissor. I will be able to tank an X-Scissor. That's only going to hit for neutral. I'm going to bank a bunch of energy for later and now send in Gyarados. My goal here is that Gyarados is going to be resisting all of Golisopod's moves, and I did get some chip damage with the poison jabs, so that way Gyarados will be able to comfortably win this. Even with only throwing resisted moves, Golisopod does shockingly well in this matchup, so I did want to tank a move on the Roserade and get some chip damage first. They go for the liquidation, they get the debuff, Gyarados survives, but it's in the red health. This will set up a monster farm down for Florges. I'm just going to fire off as many Aqua Tails as I possibly can, and the good news is I have energy on the Roserade, so if they leave with a move, I can win CMP with the Roserade. Looks like they are committing to the full farm down here. I should be able to make 2 more Aqua Tails if they do. Aqua Tail number 1. Oh, I don't make another Aqua Tail. That is very unfortunate. Here, I go for the Weather Ball, but it's an Excadrill in the back. Opponent catching a super effective move. I'm going to bank one for later and send in Primarina. Primarina, oh man, the opponent gives a waterfall for free. Things going from bad to worse for the Excadrill. They're firing off Drill Run number 2, and I'm just going to shield here. This is a very comfortable shield for the Primarina. Primarina looking for the waterfall farm down, but my opponent gets new mechanic. The waterfall went through, but they're able to get the last second move, and suddenly, with that new mechanic, I am worried that I may not win this game. Moonblast gets shielded. I do have energy on this Roserade, but I don't think they're in a range where Weather Ball will KO. I throw one, it's a CMP tie. I need the Weather Ball to KO here. Weather Ball onto the Florges, barely does not KO. Do we live a Moonblast? Moonblast KOs the Roserade, and we lose a heartbreaking game. Hopping into the final match, we see a terrible lead, Roserade into another Haxorus. Same game plan as before, immediate save switch into the Waterfall Primarina, and my opponent responds with a Golden Go. Golden Go is going to be firing off the Shadow Ball. I am not running Hydro Pump, but my opponent does not know that. I'm farming up here, I'm going for the Moonblast. Even a Moonblast would hurt. My opponent will commit the shield, and I actually get the attack drop. The attack drop is quite nice. Golden Go leaves with quite a lot of energy, but very low on HP. The unfortunate thing is that my poison jabs just do nothing to the Golden Go here. Shadow Ball does so much damage, and they're already at another Shadow Ball. I'm going to commit the shield. Let's see, can I actually poison jab down here? These poison jabs just do nothing to the Golden Go. Maybe one more poison jab would have KO'd, but I didn't want to risk it. So I'm going to fire off the Weather Ball here. Weather Ball is going to connect. My opponent looking to bring back in the Haxorus. Can I make the Leaf Storm? Yes, I can. But the thing is, I think that counter may KO afterwards. Leaf Storm lands, it KOs, and I now have no way of resetting my debuff. And I think that's going to be game over. Breaking Swipe connects. In the back, it's Metagross, but I am now approaching a range where a Meteor Mash will come close to KOing me, and I have no way to reset my debuff there. So ending up trying to go for the Leaf Storm ends up being a lose con for me. As you're going to see here, they go for the Meteor Mash. That just gets me way too low, and I resign the match. All in all, I had a ton of fun getting to use Roserade. Roserade is absolutely not a Pokemon that I would recommend using if you're looking to climb in the ranks. It just ends up being far too frail and just gets absolutely melted by any dragon type it sees. Honestly, I was just seeing a lot of fairy type leads in my elo. That's part of why I ended up running the Magnezone team to Legend, but afterwards I figured may as well run something even spicier with the same backline. Definitely lost more than I won, but the fairy type leads that I was able to bully with the Roserade made it absolutely worthwhile. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.